Before we get to the mailbag, I do have to get to one story. We've been talking about how we shouldn't forget things for much of the show. I'd like to give one example at least where it might be worth forgetting things, where we're remembering a little bit too much. This is the downside of big tech and cancel culture. There's a woman, Maddie Ziegler. I had no idea who this person was until I read this news story. Maddie Ziegler is a dancer and an actress. She is currently 17 years old, and she's issued a public apology for offensive comments and jokes that she made in the past. How far in the past could that be? She's 17 years old. What kind of public apology? I was thinking in my head, I thought, oh, what is she going to do? She's going to apologize for comments she made when she was 9? Yes, that's what she's doing. She is a 17-year-old girl is now being pressured by the left to make a public apology for comments she made when, I kid you not, she was 9 years old, because she made some videos where, I don't know, she made fun of an Asian or a Chinese accent or something like that. Like, you know, kids do. You know how kids do that stuff? Kids say silly things and do silly things because they're kids. That's what kids, it's like the definition of kids. Well, she has to make this public apology. It does raise questions. Why would you want your 9-year-old kid to be on camera on the internet? That seems like a bad idea. That seems like a recipe for disaster. Just generally, you don't want to expose kids to that very young. But beyond that, can we not have a little bit of grace for the things that 9-year-olds say? I mean, I guess what the age of reason is 7, but it's, you know, 9 is still pretty far below the age of consent. I think in many states, 17 is still below the age of consent. So can we not have a little bit of grace for that? No, of course not. Of course we can't. Not in this culture. Because no one really cares what a 9-year-old girl said about some Chinese accent or so. No one cares. But they want to use it as a cudgel now to intimidate people, to whip them back in line. History is used by the left selectively, like blackmail, like any extortion artist, like any blackmailer, like any thug uses against his adversaries. That's not how history should be used. We should not approach history as a tool of exploitation. And we should not exploit history from a perspective of antagonism. We should approach history for what it is. It's things that happened in the past that might tell us something about the future. We should look at history as something that is complex. We should look at history as something that can give us a guide to the future. And if someone has, for instance, a 50-year career in politics that is highly undignified and is increasingly radical, we should remember that too, and that should play a role in a presidential campaign. But we must approach it in its complexity. I hope you enjoyed that short segment from the Michael Knowles Show. Be sure to check out the full episode linked in the description or download the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.